friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel Profession Pioneer Academy. So today I will discuss about the UPSC polity, Indian polity, जो political science से होता है अभी क्या है ना जो इधर हम briefly discuss करेंगे जो structure of the Indian politics कल साइंस ओके सो लिस्ट ऑफ द टॉपिक क्या है ना कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनलिज्म एंड फीचर्स ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन फेडरलिज्म पॉलिटिकल डॉक्ट्रिन majority and its applications and political theories. Okay, so constitution and constitutionalism. What is constitution? It is a large document that is the fundamental law and the country having a special sanctity. Constitutionalism is a specific limitations on general state powers to prevent the exercise of a arbitrary decision making. So constitutional morality. It is a steadfast adherence to value and principle adhered to constitutional of Indian libraries. Constitutionalism as per Supreme Court Rameshwar Prasad case. Constitutionalism abhors absolutism. It is premised on the rule of law in which the subjective satisfaction is substituted by objectively provided by the constitution itself. Higher Colhoe case, constitutionalism is a legal principle that required control over the exercise of governmental power to ensure that the democratic principle shall not be destroyed. Okay, so constitutional government and non-constitutional government. What is the difference between constitutional government and non-constitutional government? The constitutional government is a government which is elected by public through an election process. Non-constitutional government, no elections. Second, constitutional government, head of the state has limited powers. Non-constitutional government, ruler of the country has unlimited powers. Constitutional government, specific tenure for the ruler. Non-constitutional government has no ruling limit. Constitutional government countries are USA, UK, India, Pakistan, etc. Non-constitutional government is Brunei, Qatar, Switzerland, etc. Okay, so written constitution and non-written constitution. What is the difference between written constitution and non-written constitution? The written constitution is the one found in legal documents, duty, condition, and in non-written constitution is documented but not duly codified. Second is the written constitution, precise, defined, and systematic. And non-written constitution is the unsymmetric, indefinite, imprecise. Written constitution has result of conscious and deliberate efforts, and non-written constitution result of historical developments. Written constitutions state countries are USA, France, India. Non-written constitutions are example Britain. So forms of government, how to forms the government? There are two specific points are there. The presidential system of government is the one in which the executive is not responsible to legislature for the politics and acts, and its constitutionality independent of the legislature in respect of its term of office. Our second point is the parliamentary system of government is the one in which the executive is responsible to the legislature for its politics and acts. What is the features of presidential system and parliamentary system? So, first of all, what is the difference? Presidential system, the example is the USA, and parliamentary system example India, UK. Okay, so in the presidential system, single executive, real and nominal, just one. In parliamentary system, dual executive, real and nominal. In presidential system, non-responsibility. In parliamentary system, collective responsibility, article number 74 and 75. In presidential system, there is separation of power, and in parliamentary system, there is fusion of power. In political, in presidential system, political homogeneity not necessary. In parliamentary system, political homogeneity is necessary. In presidential system, lower house has fixed term. In parliamentary system, dissolution of lower house. In Indian constitutionalism, ensured by Indian constitution, which was adopted by Constituent Assembly of India on 26 November 1949 and become effective on 26 January 1950. The constitution lays down the framework that dramatics with fundamental political code, structure, procedure, power and duties of government institutions and sets out fundamental rights, directive principles and duties of the citizens. So what is the features of Indian constitution? The first feature is that lengthiest written constitution, 25 parts, 12 schedule and more than 400 articles. Second is second features of Indian constitution is inspiration of various sources, USA, France, UK, Parliament, fundamental rights, UK, Parliament, etc. Mixtures, third point is the mixture of rigidity and flexibility, amendments by special majority and simple majority. Fourth feature is fundamental system with unitary bias. Fifth feature is parliamentary from government. Sixth feature is synthesis of parliamentary sovereignty and judicial supremacy. And seventh features is integrated and independent judicial Supreme Court, High Court, subordinate courts. Eighth feature is fundamental rights, Article A 12 to 35. Ninth feature is directive principle of state policy, article number 36 to 51. Tenth feature is fundamental duties, article number 51A. 11th feature is a secular state, article number 25 to 30. At features number 12, universal adult franchisee, article number 30, single citizenship, article number features number 14 is independent bodies, CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General, UPSC, etc. And features number 15 is emergency provisions, part 18. And 16th feature is three tiers of government. Okay, so next there are two systems. One is the unitary system and another one is the federalism system. What is the unitary system? It is a governing system in which a single central government has total power overall of its other political subdivisions. And in federalism system, it is a system of polity in which power is divided between union and constitution unit, that is the states. So please tell me the what is the which system India has adopted yeah, unitary federalism. Please comment on the comment box. So best example of UK unitary forms of the government in US federal forms of government. The features of unitary systems and the features of federalism system. What is the features of unitary system? Is a single government. Second, and the in features of federalism system written constitution. In unitary system, constitution will be written or unwritten. Federalism system, multiple level of governments. In unitary system, no division of power. In federalism system, rigid constitution. In unitary system, constitution may be supreme or not may be supreme. In federalism system, independent judiciary. In unitary system, constitution can be rigid or flexible. In federalism system, dual polity. In unitary system, judiciary may be independent or may not be independent. In federalism system, division of power. In unitary system, legislature may be bicameral or unicameral. In federalism system, supremacy of constitution as well as bicameralism. Characteristics of federalism: 1. Two or more levels or tries of government, generally federal, central, and provincial state government. Second features: each tier has own jurisdiction in specific matter of legislation and taxation and administration. Third point is the existence and authority of each tiers of government is constitutionally guaranteed. And fourth features is the fundamental provisions of the constitution cannot be unilaterally changed by its own level of government. Such changes require the consent both the levels of the government. Fifth point is the court has the power to interpret the constitution and power of different levels of the government. Sixth features is the sources of revenue of for each level of government are clearly specified to ensure its final financial autonomy. Seventh features is the federal system has dual objective. One is the to safeguard and promote the unity of the country, and second is accommodate regional diversity. In federalism in India, Indian federalism is quasi-federal type, having both unitary and federal features. In unitary features, 1. Residual power with central government. In federal features, written constitution. In unitary features, state boundary alteration without their consent. In federal features, supremacy of the constitution. In unitary features, a single citizenship. In federal features, division of powers, 7th schedule. In unitary features, all the services. And fourth is independent judiciary. Fifth is post of governor of the states, unitary features. And in unitary features as integrated audited by comptroller and auditor general. Unitary features as emergency provisions. Unitary features as appointments of high court judges by president. In unitary features article 1 union of states. In federal features independent judiciary, bicameralism, Rajya Sabha itself. More features of unitary features reflects style towards the central government. However, the Supreme Court and in S.R. Bamani case 1994 held that federalism is the basic structure and part of Indian constitution. Next is separation of power. The separation of power is the approach to govern a state. Under it, the state government is divided into benchmark each with the separate independent power and responsible so that power of the branch are not conflict with those of the other branches. And separation of power, theoretically we may say that the doctrine of separation of power is there in India, but it is only between the executive and the judiciary. Third point is the prime minister is the part of the union executive, yet it is the PM and the council of minister who are the real executive because the president has to act on the aid and advice of the council of ministers. Thus, the council of ministers work in the capacity of both the legislative and executive capacities, which goes against the doctrine of separation of power. In the constitutional provinces, Article number 50, which told about that, which tells that judiciary and executive should be separate. In Article 121 and 122 has judicial conduct of Supreme Court and High Court judges cannot be discussed in Parliament and state legislature. In Article 361, told that President and governors are not answerable to any court for the exercise and performance of their official duties. Third is judicial pronouncement. Keshavananda Bharati case, separation of power is the integral part of the basic structure of the constitution. Indira Gandhi versus Raj Niran case 1975, Supreme Court observed that separation of power was limited in India. The Supreme Court rejected the Inject Act 2014 as it threatened the independence of judiciary. Now we have discussed about the doctrine of checks and balances. Checks and balances is a principle of government under which separate branches are empowered to prevent action by the branches and are induced to share power. Next, checks and balances are applied primarily in constitutional government, and they are of fundamental importance in tripartite government, tripartite government, such as the of the United States and separate powers among legislature, executive, and judiciary branches. In Indian context, checks on judiciary, the judges of Supreme Court and High Court, applied by the executive, but they may be removed only if they are impeached by the parliament. Checks on executive. The executive is responsible to the legislature its functioning. Checks by judiciary on legislature and executive. Through the tools of judicial review and using the doctrine of basic structure. So right now I have discussed about the doctrine of basic structure. It is a judicial innovation that was propounded in Keshavananda Bharati case on 24th of April 1973. Through this, judiciary put a limitation on amending power of parliament so that the basic structure of the constitution cannot be amended under Article 368. Court held that no part of the constitution was beyond parliament's amending power, but basic structure of the constitution cannot be amended even with the constitutionally amended act. The power and amended is not the power to destroy the constitution. The court did not define the basic structure but only listed a few principles as being its part. Several such as principles have been propounded by the court from time to time. For example, Esar Samoni, Secularism 1994, Judicial Independence and Judicial Review in L. Chandra Kumar case. Now, majority and its functionality. So, either simple majority, which requires not less than the 50% of president and voting, uses the passages of ordinary bill and financial bill, passage of adjournment, election of speakers and deputy speakers, approval for president rule and financial rule, censure motion, resolution passed by House of Parliament for discontinuations of national emergency, rectifications of constitution by the state legislature. So next body is the absolute majority. This means not less than 50% of total strength of the house without subtracting vacancy, not used alone. It is used with other majority. And another body is the effective majority. This means not less than 50% of total strength of the house vacancies, that is excluding vacancies. Use this is needed in the removal of speakers, deputy speakers, vice chairman, etc. And another body is the special majority. Not less than two-thirds members present and voting. No minimum requirements. Use Article number 249. Rajya Sabha can pass a resolution authorizing the parliament to legislate on a state subject for more than 1 year. In Article number 312, Rajya can pass a resolution authorizing the parliament to create a new All India service. And point number 2, that is not less than two-thirds member present and voting with absolute majority, Article 368. Example, removal of a judicial judge of Supreme Court, High Court, Comptroller and Auditor General and CEC, Chief Election Commissioner, approval for constituting national emergency in both house, Article 169, in state assembly seeking to create or abolish Vidhan Parishad. And the third point is the two-thirds of total strength of the house, impeachment of the president. And the fourth point is constitutional amendment requiring consent of 50% state needed a on a matter of distribution of executive or legislative power between center and the state. B. On a matter involving Supreme Court and High Court. C. On a matter involving any list in 7th schedule. E. D is the representation of state in parliament. E. Amendment in procedure of election of president. F. Article 368 itself. And G is the Good and Service Tax Council. So next, that is the liberty. What is liberty? It is the absence of constraints and facilitation to the ability of people to choose, believe, and act on their potential. It is external construct. It is personal freedom that is generated to people by external authority. Example, liberty of thought expression, belief, faith, expression and worship in India Constitution. Liberty are two type. One is negative liberty and another one is the positive liberty. The what is negative liberty? It is also known as the liberty from law. It is narrow interpretation. It focuses on absence of constraints. And the positive liberties, it is known as liberty by law. It has wider interpretation. It focuses on facilitation of environment developing full potential of an individual. What is the freedom? It is the absence of constraints and facilitation to the ability of the people of to freely express themselves and develop their potential. It is the internal construct where one individual decides his own action. It is the capability of the individual to make decision without external control. What is republic? Republic is the absence of privileged class and political sovereignty with people. What is equality? Equality means absence of special privileges to a section to any section of society and provision of adequate opportunity for all individuals without any discrimination. What is sovereignty? The sovereign is the freedom of a country to conduct its own affairs both internal and externally. Democratic socialism is the faith in public and private sector coexistences and secular independence of a state action from religious influences. Indian secularism is a positive secularism where all religion enjoys equal status. Democratic is means possession of supreme power by people. And parliament democracy, arrangement of government where executive is responsible to the legislature for its policies and action. What is feminist? Feminists are these men and women who believe that many of inequalities we see in society between men and women are neither natural nor necessary and can be altered so that both women and men can lead free and equal. Next is social justice. Social justice is a political and philosophical theory which acts, asserts that there are dimensions to the concept of justice beyond those embodied in the principle of civil or criminal law, economic supply and demand, or traditional moral frameworks. Rights, there are legal, social, and ethical principle of freedom and 18th element, that is, rights are the fundamental normative rule about what is allowed of people or owned to people according to some legal system, social convention, and ethical theory. Next is the